Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game designed to annoy me specifically. For context, if there's one thing I can't stand in video games, it's when a game wastes my time, either by erasing progression upon death like Souls and roguelikes, or forced grinding in an RPG until I just can't tolerate it. Dragon's Dogma feels like a PS2 game with all of its jankiness, and just how unhelpful it can be. The lack of fast travel, no lock-on, and inventory wait system, which will always be infuriating unless your game has death and stranding in the title. There's not even a consistent universal dodge mechanic. So for as tedious as this game can be, why exactly did I finish it, when I'm so quick to abandon most games that cause me this amount of stress, especially during a weekend where I had to get through Rise of the Ronin and Princess Peach as well? Well, it's because Dragon's Dogma never crosses the line into unforgivable annoyance. I begrudgingly admit that some of those annoyances actually do add a lot to the world, and even if you're intimidated by this game, it is worth playing. I want to make myself clear before I throw any more kind words this game's way. It's a lousy video game, archaically bringing back ugly mechanics I never thought would rear their heads again. I'm not opposed to reinventing old mechanics with modern design sensibilities, but Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't do that. It just brings them back for the sake of nostalgia, and the return of these mechanics will be praised by some, while the rest of us look at them like the sociopaths they definitely are. So for as teeth-grinding as Dragon's Dogma 2 is, what are the lines it smartly doesn't cross that kept me invested in the world despite its many faults? Firstly, there's the adaptive difficulty. Now, this is sort of a useless conversation to have, because every player comes to every game with a different level of skill. Like, someone who's been playing games for 10 years but only plays platformers can still get their ass handed to them by someone who's only been playing games for 9 months but only plays shooters. But adaptive difficulty changes that. Dragon's Dogma 2 will make the game easier for you the more you fail, and it never feels like you're up against a brick wall in a boss fight, as you frequently are in the recently released Rise of the Ronin. Dogma never challenges the player with an insurmountable boss. As such, it avoids having any rage quit-inducing boss fights that feel unfair and would make me immediately quit the game in a fury. It's not even necessary to engage in combat at all if you don't want to, thanks to the pawn system. I haven't tried this method out myself because it sounds incredibly dull, but it's more than plausible for you to recruit a party of high-level pawns and then sit back in the corner whilst commanding your squad to slay your enemies, only ducking into the battle to revive them. Since your health will be full from sitting on the sidelines, their health will go back to the maximum. Also, with how many things in Dragon's Dogma 2 slow you down, such as travel and the wait system, I expected there to be some infuriating penalty for death, like only letting you respawn in the spot where I last fell asleep. If something like that were in the game, I would have been finished in the first 2 hours, because my time-addicted brain wouldn't be able to handle the stress of death carrying such an immense cost to my sanity. But what's surprising is that Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't do anything of the sort. It respawns you at the nearest checkpoint to your location, even if you didn't pass by it on the way to your objective. The game still graciously places you in the most convenient place for you to get back to adventuring. Also, there is a minor penalty for dying in the fact that some of your maximum health is lost upon respawning, which, while not an extreme punishment, is still an annoyance on a long enough timeline if you're grinding one boss in particular. Also, death can be a reward in this game due to the aforementioned adaptive difficulty, making whatever challenge you were struggling with marginally easier. The game isn't also utterly ridiculous with its objective markers, unlike old games like Morrowind, which did sometimes tell you where to go, but quite frequently you are left in the dark on where you should be headed to complete a quest, which I know that the developers think is stupid, because if you're blessed by randomness, you might just have a pawn that can guide you to the quest marker, giving them yet another insufferable reason to talk. I don't endorse or recommend Dragon's Dogma 2, because it attempts to resurrect mechanics and systems that would be better left to rot. I would be ecstatic if the game figured out how to make these archaic mechanics work, but Dragon's Dogma 2 isn't that game. If you enjoyed this video, check out this essay on why you shouldn't go to sleep at night in the game,